Hey everyone, it's Mackenzie, and today I wanted to come and do a little review for you for homeschooling. Today I'm going to review Matthew C. Primer Level. So the primer level in Matthew C is the only level that is not mastery based. So this is the introduction to Matthew C. It's very basic. It's they don't have grade levels, that's why they are just by name for primer, but it is the very first level, so it would probably be for preschool or kindergarten aged child starting out. My daughter started it right when she turned 4. Actually, it might have been a month or so before she turned 4, and it took her about 6 to 7 months to complete. She finished it at age 4.5. We finished it at the end of February, and we have since moved on to the next thing, but I did want to go ahead and review primer for you. So if you don't know anything about Matthew C is a concept-based curriculum, math curriculum, and they actually have Demi Learning has also expanded and has some other things now like Spelling UC, and I think they have something else, but Matthew C is all I've used so far. The way that they teach it is build, write, say. So they have manipulatives, and they build the problem first, then they write it down, then they say it. And this is awesome because this gives you several different approaches to learning so that you can really help any child learn to understand and love math, because it's concept based. It gives you not just memorize these formulas, memorize how to do it. It's actually the hows and whys to why you do it. So an example that was given to me when we went to the workshop at the Homeschool conference was when you talk to your child, your 4, 5, 6-year-old child who's learning to do math problems, and you say, okay, this plus this equals what? If you ask a child what does equals mean, most of them probably aren't going to know if they're doing most curriculums. But in Matthew C, they actually teach equals means it has to be the same on both sides. Wow, we all actually knew that in some way, but even I, at 24 years old, had never heard it so simply put. And it makes sense. A 4-year-old understands that, a 6-year-old understands that, a 30-year-old understands that. It's very, very simple, and they can actually see it done. That is one huge reason why we like Matthew C. In the primer level, I'll show you what it comes with. It comes with this primer level instruction manual for the teacher. Like I said, primer is the very first level. It's really very basic. I didn't actually use this instruction manual hardly at all, but it tells you like, there's your lesson, and it's going to tell you what it's about. And then if you go further into it, it's actually, it's actually showing you what they're teaching right there. So it's very good, and it teaches how to do things in multiple ways, so they really understand a lot. But this starts with a lot of things. It starts with learning to count to 20, learning how to write the numbers, and then it goes into like counting by 2s, counting by 5s, counting by 10s. It goes into telling time, it goes into adding, it goes into a lot of things like that. Place value is very, very important. Place value. If a child doesn't understand place value, they're going to struggle with math their entire lives. So place value is very important. It has the game in here called Decimal Street. So it learns, it's basically like a game where each thing has houses. So this is in 100, and it's going to have a house. And how many hundreds can fit in the hundreds house? 9. Because if you have 10 hundreds, that's not in the hundreds house anymore. It has to move up to the thousands, right? And then you have 10s. These are 10s. And how many 10s can fit in the tens house? 9. Because if you have 10 tens, it has to move up to the hundreds. And same thing with ones. How many ones are going to fit in the ones house? 9. So they're teaching place value very, very early on. But like I said, Primer is not mastery based. So if they don't understand all of it 100% completely, that is okay. They will go over all of these concepts in primer in the next levels of math. So this is really an introduction, and some people don't even start off with this and they go straight to the other level, but I really liked it. So here is the student workbook for primer. So this is the workbook that the child is doing, and Evelyn has completed this. Actually, all of her stuff is in here. So each lesson, which a lesson takes however long you want it to take. So it can take a day, it can take a week, it can take 2 weeks, however long you need. We usually did it about 1 week. Sometimes we do get 2 done in a week. It just depended on what it was. Because like early on, where we're just circling how many's there, that was pretty simple. My daughter basically knew that already. And then when we got to this part where we were doing place values, you know, it took a little longer because that's a more difficult concept, especially at her age. When we were adding hundreds, you know, stuff like that, it does get more advanced. And like tally marks, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that they're doing in these levels. And I believe that if you did 1 lesson a week, it takes 30 weeks to complete. So it's actually less than most typical school years would be, but it allows for you, if your child's struggling with anything, to take a little longer on that. Something that we didn't really have to do with primer level, but we do now with some of the harder stuff is we might do, you know, 1 practice page lesson one day, and the next day maybe we don't pull out this book, but we just do problems on the marker board that are similar to get that extra practice to really make sure they master it. Because especially in math where everything builds on something else, if you miss a concept, that is crucial. You don't need to miss any concepts. I would rather have my child 3 years behind in math but understand all the concepts than have them way ahead and not understanding any concepts, which clearly isn't the case for our daughter. She's actually ahead. But mastering the concepts is most important. If it takes us a month to do a lesson that maybe was planned for a week, that's okay with me. And we're gonna make sure that this is mastered so that when they get into algebra, pre-algebra, calculus, they really get it. They understand how it happens, they understand why it happens, and they have it memorized. So yes, also the primer level also has this DVD. So you can pop this DVD in, and it has like a 2 to 3 minute little thing for each level, each lesson, on how to teach it. So if you see something and you're like, I really don't know how to teach place value to my 4-year-old or 5-year-old, you don't really know what you're doing there, you can just pop this in. You can even let your child watch it too. Watch Mr. Demi, who created this whole brand, this whole curriculum. You can watch how he teaches it, and then you know how to teach it. And they have these for all the levels. And the last thing I'll go ahead and show you is the manipulatives. So this is my manipulative box. There's all my manipulatives. And like I showed you, hundreds, tens, and ones. They also have, and they teach the kids to learn the different numbers as well. So you have 2s are orange, 3s are pink, 4s are yellow, etc., etc. So you have all of that, and this really just helps them. So if you need to know, like, what does, for example, what does 4 plus 3 equal? Well, equals means same on both sides, right? So you have the 4 and you have the 3. And what block is going to be equal to this? Well, is it going to be 8? No. Is that the same on both sides? No, it's not. So is it going to be 7? And you can look at this, and the 7 block is the white one underneath. And yes, that's the same on both sides. And when you have both lines, let's see if I can do this, it creates an equal sign. So it's equal. It's the same on both sides. Super easy, super fun. The kids love it. My daughter does well with memorization. She probably wouldn't have to have math, you see. She'd probably do fine with any math we give because she does do okay with memorization. But when you get to harder things, sometimes memorization isn't enough, and you need that tactile experience. You need that learning experience of the manipulatives. You need writing it down. You need to say it and have the auditory experience. It's really, really great. So we did finish primer. We loved it. It was awesome. And we did move on to alpha. And we're doing that now. We're about in the 8th lesson or so. It's taken us a little longer. It's a little harder. My daughter's still not 5 yet. So we are taking our time, and that is okay, especially since now we're in alpha. It is mastery based. She has to master this before we move on. So anyways, I just wanted to show you guys that particular curriculum that we did use, complete, and love. Let me know in the comments below if you've used Math-EC, if you like the idea of primer, whatever you have questions about. If you have questions about any other curriculum we use, I do think I'm gonna do reviews on the curriculums we finish. For me, I like to hear other people's experience with curriculums before I spend money on them. So I think that if you guys are interested, that is something that I can start doing more often, especially as, we end the near ends of school years and stuff like that, and we're trying new things. We are always doing new things. So let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or suggestions, or what your experiences are with homeschooling. And honestly, even if you're not a homeschooler, if you plan to send your child to public or private school, primer is great because it really is an introductory idea, and it's gonna give them that experience. I would buy this if I was sending my kid to public school kindergarten next year, because it's really just going to get them in that mindset of learning and excited and having fun, and why not? And then you have the blocks forever. If you need to go back to the blocks and help them with other levels, even if they're in public school, you can always do that. So sorry, I know this video has gotten probably a lot longer than I originally anticipated, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.